One of the greatest villains in American political history is John C. Calhoun, but many people have never heard of the guy. So John C. Calhoun was a two-time vice president under John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson. He was a senator from South Carolina, a slave owner, and a really important political theorist. And one of the dominant concerns of his life was balancing majority rule, democracy, with the interests of minorities. And by the interests of minorities, he meant slave owners, the interests of slave owners, and how do you protect those interests from mean majorities who might try to end slavery. And in fact, John C. Calhoun is one of the very first people we know of who argues in the United States that slavery is not a necessary evil, but is actually a positive good, that it's the natural order. So to try and balance these two things, Calhoun is going to create a series of political theories relative to the U.S. Constitution. And the first is compact theory. So Calhoun understands the United States not as a creation of the people of the United States, but as a compact, kind of like an international treaty between separate and sovereign states. Oh, okay, so who cares? Well, because it's a compact between the states, between sovereign states, each state has the right to interpret the U.S. Constitution and to determine when the national government has violated that contract and push back. This is actually the next step in the Jeffersonian understanding of nullification, wherein each state has the right to interpret the Constitution and to declare any acts of Congress that it deems unconstitutional, null and void within its jurisdiction. Well, Calhoun is going to push this theory all the way up to secession. States have the right to secede when the national government has violated the compact. So he's laying the legal foundation here for secession. But first, this is going to be tested out in 1832 in the nullification crisis. So Congress has passed a series of tariffs. The South doesn't like them because they burden the South more than they do the North. And South Carolina is going to use Calhoun's theory of nullification and compact and secession here and say, hey, this harms our economy, and therefore we're pretty sure that's unconstitutional, and therefore null and void within our jurisdiction. And Jackson is going to say, hell no. And you're going to have this political dogfight over tariffs, except it's not about tariffs and it's not really about states' rights. This is a precursor of a battle over slavery. And Calhoun is very clear about this in his writings on the nullification crisis. Next stop for Calhoun after the nullification crisis is rejecting the Declaration of Independence because it has some really unhelpful passages about the natural equality of mankind and each man's right to liberty, which doesn't really square with a positive, good view of slavery. So what is John C. Calhoun's legacy? Well, it's illiberal democracy, or separating the Constitution from the Declaration of Independence. It's compact theory. It's nullification. It's secession. It's states' rights. It's the legal and philosophical groundwork for the Civil War. That's his legacy.